All right, we're back at it. Steve took this apart while I had to go do something. Pretty much at the point where we need to separate the stator from the motor. But as I'm looking at this, that thing is still bolted down there and over here. There it is. There. Okay, I'm not sure at what point the camera died, but we got this loose. I had to torch the bolts there. Tons of bolts in here. It's kind of tedious, but huge chunk of cast there. There's a huge chunk of cast here we're going to try to recover. There's actually a lot of cast on this thing. The intake, the heads, or the valve covers, the intake, the turbo. But this is a huge, heavy chunk of cast. Now I'm just taking this plate out and I'm going to torch the side. It's going to be a little kind of messed up because what they've done is put tack welds in the corner, but I'm hoping it's just the corners, and once I split it I can kind of jar it loose because it's just on the plates of that you know, the slats that are in there. This thing came out nice, huge chunks of copper in there, big chunks. This is all full of copper. This is going to have way more copper than this one. I looked in there the other day and it's like there's gaps in there because I don't think that was three-phase. This was obviously three-phase. So that's what we need. Three-phase generators, big ass three-phase generators. So we're going to put the time lapse back on. I'm going to cut this, see if we can't liberate that, and then we'll work on cutting this one and getting these things up on the bench so we can split them. Okay, man, this thing is tough, man. I'm going to war with this thing. I actually went and I broke out the Best Arc plasma cutters that was sent to me to review on the channel. I had thought it was burned up, but I think the problem was I was using 110, and obviously this thing likes 220. I got it cranked up on 50 amps. It's blowing through this. This is some pretty thick steel. And here's the issue. This thing has these like C channels or whatever welded all the way across, and then they tacked it on the ends. And then I was wondering why I couldn't cut through this one. This is a solid 1x2 piece of stock. So that's why when I was, you know, I thought I was cutting through these no problem. I got to this one, it didn't want to do it. So I'm gonna have to break out the torch plasma cutter's not gonna cut through that thick thing. And you know, we'll get this liberated the top as much as problem. I'm gonna run into a little problem. I haven't quite figured out how I'm gonna do it, because it has, I think there's 3, one here, one on the bottom and one on the other side. That one might be above, so they're a little off. But once I get down into below this is going to be difficult. I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to do that yet. But even once I get this thing freed from the case, for me to split this, I'm going to have to burn or grind or burn. I'll probably, well, I don't know. I'll probably burn a gap in here. It's not going to be a problem for this one, but that one there, that's solid, man. That's they put this thing together pretty good. They didn't want that thing twisting in there. This is by far the hardest one I've ever come across. Normally they'll just have like a plug weld on the outside. I think that's the way that one is, or I haven't even gotten to that one yet. I think there's just a plug weld on the outside usually. But now that I see what's going on here, I can kind of get a good game plan. What I want to do is take a straight edge, make some lines right next to these, and we're just going to cut down. I might take the plasma cutter and go ahead and cut all around this whole ring just to get this whole end off and out of the way. And then I can get a better game plan of what I'm going to do down here. I'll cut as close as I can on this side, and then probably just get in there and, you know, cut around these ribs. I think the plasma cutter might, that's some pretty thick stuff here. Got a tape measure on here somewhere, but we're at the limits. Well, not at the limits. I think I cut 1/2-inch plate with that one day. This isn't 1/2-inch plate. It's pretty thick though. I got these tips from Harbor Freight. They say they're only 20 amp tips. And I did cook that one. That one was brand new basically, and it's blowing out the side. I learned a couple things of how this thing likes to run. If you can just hold it 1/16 of an inch off and run it, and it likes to penetrate straight. It doesn't like to go on an angle, or at least that's what I'm finding out so far. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this ring cut off the back. I'll probably fire up the torch, and I don't want to touch that, and cut that there, cut that there. We can get the front end of this. I mean, the bottom of it's going to be welded on all them ribs. That's going to be tough. I'm just going to have to skeleton it out like this. This is literally fighting me to the end, you know. But I think once I get it liberated, and then I decide, I pick where, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if we go 1, 2, 3, 4, well, they're kind of staggered back and forth. So I'll just have to draw a line and just burn out a good maybe 2-inch section. And when I do come in here with the blade, I'll come in the middle here. That way hopefully it pops it free, and we don't have to plunge down into the actual weld. But yeah, this one is tough, man. So if I come across these again, I'm gonna have a little bit better idea. But hopefully by the end of this, once I do 1, maybe 2, I'll have a, you know, more streamlined way of getting these open. I mean, really, realistically, because these are the way these are welded. Now this one's welded all the way through, and I think because they put a pick point here, that's why they put a solid piece. These ones are only welded on the ends, so I could actually probably just hit that with the plasma cutter, knock those off, and just have to worry about this one. Oh no, they welded that one all the way. Huh. I wonder why they welded some of them all the way and not the other ones. Must have been a Monday or something. Or a Friday, the guy wanted to go home. Anyway, yeah, I'm gonna torch this off, get this ring off the backside, and then just kind of work my way down to the bottom. I'm trying to figure, like, if it's only tacked, if I can just cut, you know, a square out and then get it, you know, get it loose. I don't know. We're just gonna keep cutting. I broke this thing out because I didn't think I had enough gas in the torch to keep cutting like I was. I just seen a lot of cutting coming up, and I wanted to save the torch for the big stuff. And if I have to use it on there or whatever, I'm just gonna try to save my I think I got enough tips. If I keep with my keeping it off, don't run the thing too much, let it cool down a little bit, and we'll just keep at it, man. I mean, up until this part, I mean, we had like maybe an hour, if not even an hour, unbolting it. It really just unbolted. I had to torch the bolts on the bottom because they were rusted, and then even the one we did the other day, you got to jack the engine because the way these are made. The other one I didn't have time to pull the start. It had a brand new starter, alternator. I want to try to pull the starter, that aluminum, those valve covers, get all that cast off of there as much as possible, and definitely that radiator. That's a nice little chunk right there. All right, well, there you have it. We have two massive stators. This one still needs to be cut out, but it's pretty much ready to go. That's gonna be a lot easier to cut. But unfortunately, there's a lot of gaps in that copper there. But it's still gonna be a nice chunk. It's gonna be a nice chunk out of here. So I'm gonna get the stator wrecker set up. We'll be ripping the copper out of this stuff. Okay, we're back on these stators. We got the other one liberated. Now, as you can see, there's a huge difference, not only in size, but in the amount of copper that's in that one, which was obviously a true 3-phase, probably high amp. This one is pretty sparse, but the rotor part of it has tons of copper in it, so I'm excited about that. This one here still got a nice little chunk of copper in there too. So we're gonna work on these first. I got this thing jacked almost all the way up. I'm hoping it's high enough to do what we need to do. We're gonna pull this big one up. It still needs a little prep. What I'm gonna have to do is take the torch and cut a notch right here so that I can get that blade down there and start pushing them things apart. If I knew I could pull that through in one shot, I would just cut one side off, but I don't know. Plus, I don't like using the grinding discs and all that stuff to cut that. We're gonna use that blade right there and just, you know, peck down in this thing and rotate it as we go. Then we're only pulling from like that much rather than through all that with all the glue. And that's a lot of copper. I still think even splitting that in half, that's gonna be tough to start breaking that thing loose. I don't think we're gonna have much of an issue with this one here. That's kind of sad. That was a lot of work for that little bit of copper, but hey, it is what it is. In the future, I'm gonna start looking at the tags and the type of stators and stuff like that, and that's gonna reflect on how much I pay for these things. So we're gonna get the chain hoist. What I'm actually gonna do is strap the front of this down to the table, because that is a lot. There really isn't much here. This is just kind of holding this up. It's not really made to flex back like that. So yeah, we're gonna put a strap on that, make sure we do things safe. Get this thing up on there. We'll weigh it as we pick it up, see how much we got. And hopefully we get a nice little chunk of copper. I mean, it looks like, I don't know, man. Hopefully we get maybe 100 pounds of copper out of there. I don't know. I'm gonna say between 75 and 100. $423 pounds. So if there's 20%, so we might have 80 pounds of copper in there. Okay, let's get to splitting. Okay, here we go. We got this thing up in here. We got the blade on there. Now, obviously, the blade's not going to penetrate this thing in one stroke. So we're just going to split it, rotate it, split it. In my opinion, it's way better than just cutting one side, because then you're trying to pull this stuff through here. And even with my hydraulic setup here, it is tough, man. I mean, especially that this has so much, we're going to have to do little tiny pulls just to loosen it up. But definitely splitting it in half, in my opinion, is the way to go. And eventually one day, I have the stuff over there. We're gonna have the bigger blade where we'll be able to do this in one pass. But for now, we're gonna do it this way. And this was by far the toughest stator I've ever had to extract, because of all these bars welded to it. And I was running out of gas on my torch. And I mean, I had to get this out, man. I had to use a combination of a plasma cutter, a torch, a grinder, and, you know, various other tools and pry bars. This was, no joke, a lot of work. But hopefully we get a decent amount out of this, and all the other little bits and the wires and stuff like that that go along with this. So what I'm going to do is, we have our oil from our AC compressors that I salvaged, and we're just gonna lube the blade. Things go better with lube. And I don't know how, man, I think this blade is crooked, but we're just gonna start sending it and see what we got here. Oh, we ran out of stroke. Okay, now on this first one, I'm gonna have to, oh, this is gonna be tough, because this is only gonna want to set in so many positions. I'm gonna have to put the chain around here, because that thing is wedged in there. I doubt I'll be able to get that out just by shaking it. Also, this thing's rocking back and forth. So the way I like to do this is put that back down. We're not going to let that blade come out of the cut. Okay. Let's see. All right. Back down in there and see what happens. Yeah. Still got some serious wedging going on. We might have to keep that. Might have to keep the chain on there. What I want to do, I mean, this is all temporary, and also this is actually the wrong way. Eventually this, I need to make a spacer. This is going to be turned this way. So pretty much once I have the stator in there and I split it, I can bring this up out of the way, pull the blade, clamp back down on the stator, leave it right where it is, and pull the copper out without doing a bunch more operations. For now, we're going to do some operations. I think I'm going to leave the chain on there. Wow, we about came right back around to where we were. I mean, we stayed in our cut. Well, there you have it. Split that thing right in two. Crazy thing is how that blade just cuts, slices right through those laminates. So we're like one laminate off. I just have to cut that. I'll get some tin snips. But other than that, this is going to make pulling this copper so much easier. That did seem like a little bit of work, but it would have probably been close to that same amount of work cutting this with either a sawzall or a grinder, and then making all the dust, and then trying to pull through all of that at one shot would have just been a nightmare. So I'm going to get this out of the way while I have the blade set up. I don't know if I got enough stroke to just come down on this, or I have to come down one notch. I think while I have the blade set up, I will pick that up, put it on there, split it, get them all split, and then do all the pulling at once. Okay, I don't know what's going on with the other GoPro. Seems to be having some issues, but we are ready to start pulling. Yeah, I don't know when it died. Okay, this is going to be an issue. Huh. Yeah. All right. Well, looks like we might just have to use a block of wood, or I'm gonna have to cut these off. Let me just see if I can't use a block of wood, and I'll just concentrate down here at the bottom. Always something. Okay. Okay, moment of truth. Oh, that's tough. Let me squeeze down on that a little more. We're just going to work this area. All right, we don't want to get greedy. Wow. It's a lot of pressure. Man, we might be able to get this in one full crown. Nice. Yeah, there's no way this would have been coming out without splitting this in half. I would have had to burn this thing. Okay, let's not get greedy. Crazy thing is, this is the easiest part of the whole operation. Woo! Whoop. I just cracked that 4x4. Shit. Wow. This is where we're losing it. We need something with a deeper throat. Nice. Haha, the copper crown. I think that's the first time I got one out in one shot. And it doesn't seem like it weighs that much either. It's kind of disappointing. Okay. £33 times 360. So I think it's actually 365. So that one coil was almost 120 bucks. Hey, that's not bad. Now the other side, it's got all that extra wire. I think it's gonna have a little bit more. So I'm gonna try the time lapse again. I'm not sure what's going on with that camera. It keeps shutting off. But yeah, we're gonna get that one set up. We're just gonna keep on moving. Okay, last one. That last one had like 18 pounds of copper in it. This one might have a little less because the other side has all the connections on it. But these ones, came right out. I don't think I would have had a problem cutting the backside of these, but, and also, I think next time I really need to weigh these. And see what I'm getting for electric motors. Although I still have the rotor. I think once the rotor's processed, it's gonna be worth it. All right. These coils are pretty much the same. £3.5 pounds, so it'd be 14 pounds. So once I got these up on the table and they were split, We made almost $380 relatively quick, plus the steel, and we still have the rotors. So I'm thinking it's got to be another 80 pounds. But I'm gonna have to do the rotors later when I come back. I gotta go empty that steel trailer. Let's go see what Steve's doing. I gotta get this generator off my trailer. We're gonna throw on all this prepared steel. We got a nice chunk of aluminum there. How you making out, man?
They built a cage and welded it all together.
Dude.
I'm almost there.
Okay.
And then rust took over.
Is this steel on the
They
outside?
didn't want, no, that's...
That looks like steel. Wow. They're gonna have to take it.
I'll get it out there.
Alright,
This is what they had underneath it for brackets.
is that a bearing?
It looks, yeah, it's an inside roller.
What was this thing, homemade?
It was, I guess, it was standing on the mount. No.
Yeah, there's another, yeah, that's it. Wow. That's a cool skid, man. That'd make a nice steel pallet. Huh.
You want it?
No, we gotta sell it off.
It's 8 bolts.
Yeah, I gotta get rid of it.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to haul this thing over here in a minute.
You gonna what?
I gotta haul this out of here in a minute.
Okay, I'll be done.
I'm gonna bring out that big heavy steel.
How much copper do you have? You want to work together on them rotors? I'll be done here in 5 minutes.
I'll tell you where we're going, right to the scrap yard. Watch it. Look, it's dancing. You ever seen your copper dance before?